Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Wendy Thompson. First, before I speak, I'd like to ask you guys a question. Do you know anybody that's lost your house due to a fire, whether it be relatives or... Well, that's what happened to my family. I was a working mother of three. We went down to visit my mother, who lived in South Kingston, for the weekend because I was off for work. I get up on Saturday morning, I get a phone call from my former upstairs neighbor who moved down the street from us. Called me and said, your house is on fire. I scramble around because we have no transportation of our own. We take the bus. It's Saturday. Getting the bus to Providence is no fun. I get up to the city to see what's in the house. I'm going up the steps, and as I'm going up the steps, first of all, the steps were scary because they were totally open. But not only were the steps open, the walls on either side of the steps were completely open. I just about passed out. Red Cross put us in a hotel for 3 days because it was on a weekend. After that, of course, we have to fend for ourselves. We didn't get a lot of help from them. At that time, it was Travelers Aid. Went down there. They put us in a family shelter. They actually worked it out so that we were in an actual domestic violence shelter only because they wanted to keep my kids in the same school so we could keep them at least somewhat stabilized. Keep them in the same school. Keep them in the boys' club. I took that week out of work. But while I was out of work between the boys' club, the school, and my job first of all paid for that week I took out of work. Second of all, they had been collecting things for me and my family. Boys Club collected things for me and my family. The school collected things for me and my family. The week I went back to work, my neighbor, who took the same bus with me to work, told me that one of the other neighbors was looking for me. She had an apartment available that we could have. All we had to do was come up with the first month's rent and deposit. It was basically 2 months that it took me to come up with that kind of money to get into an apartment. And because of that, the school got a hold of Hasbro, and Hasbro did the kids' Christmas that year. We wake up at 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning, because I was used to being up that early anyway, and the house was full of smoke. Here we go again. Get the babies out of the house. They were 9 months and 8 months. Get everything and anything possibly to do with the babies out of the house because all I cared about was getting the baby stuff out of the house. Went to the motel for the 3 days. So I called around. My youngest daughter and her daughter ended up going to the family shelter, which me and my son could not go to. My daughter went into family shelter. My son, they wanted him, because he was over 14 years old, they wanted him to go into a men's shelter, which is not safe for a man, never mind a child. This time it took a very, very long time to get an apartment I was the only one working. I didn't get paid for that week off. It was a different job. Also at that point, it was when the cell phones were paid by the minute rather than the month. So for me to try to pay for phones for me and each one of my children, just to keep the lines of communication open, just didn't work. So I ended up in the women's shelter at Crossroads, which in the long run wasn't too bad. It could have been a lot worse. While I was there, I took the CNA class, passed with flying colors. I got a 96 overall average. Took the state boards the first time passed. At that point, I was getting ready to try to get some new work. And I get very, very sick. A lot of pain. Finally get to the right doctor and have the right x-rays done. And at a young 52 years old, I had to have a hip replacement. It took me almost 4.5 years to get SSDI. It's been tough, very tough. Found my way out myself. My ex-brother-in-law and I ended up renting an apartment together to share. And then last month we took in 2 friends of ours to help with expenses, and because they were kind of stuck where they were, there wasn't very good living conditions where they were. So that's my story.